Hi, my name's Jacob Anderson, and I created an app called Booklist for the class project. Actually, you can see the homepage of the app I created right there. So the idea actually came about when my girlfriend at the time was trying to keep together a list of books that she wanted to read, but she couldn't really remember which books were which, any sort of information about them, or had any sort of record of all of the books that she wanted to read. And that was right about the time that we were coming up with ideas for this project, and I thought that that would be a great app idea. So what this app is, or what it allows you to do, it allows you to keep a running list of books that the user wants to read and buy. It allows users to get the information about books on their lists, including a price, a description, a picture of the book cover, the authors, and a link to buy the book online. It makes an API call out to Google Books and gets all this information back as a JSON. And also, another part of what my girlfriend wanted was to always know where there was a bookstore, because she loves bookstores. So that was just another part of the project that I added in there. So this app also allows users to find nearby bookstores and gets directions directly through the app, so they don't have to leave the app in order to go to the bookstore. This is my class diagram. As you can see, the home page is the view controller. So it all kind of starts with the view controller, but it divides up into kind of the map view and then the book list view. So to start with the map view, when you, on that home screen that you saw right at the beginning of the presentation, when you click go to maps to find the closest bookstore, it takes you to this map view that takes up the entire page and gives you a search bar at the top, but already has, based on your location, the pre-populated bookstores within a given area. And then once you click on one of the pins, it'll actually allow you to, or it'll actually give you directions right on the map itself. And then a button will pop up and allow you to get directions shown. So then, but if you are curious about a specific bookstore or something like that, I also implemented a search function that allows you to search the map for specific places that you can also get directions to. Now, if you were to pick the other button on the home screen, which was to start a book list, it will take you to a table view. Now, this table view has a couple of options. If you already had started a book list, you would see all the books there, which were stored in the core data of your phone. But if you didn't have any books there, you were able to add a book by a modal popping up and a search bar, which allows you to use, or which then makes a call out to Google Books API to get back information based off a title that you had searched. And then from there you can add multiple books at a time to your book list. The way that the way that I designed it was that this book info object actually takes in all the data that is going to be stored to the book entity and is passed back through a segue, which then calls out to the book model to add the book to the core data and to put it on the table view. But once you're on the table view and you have a book that is in your list, you can click on the view cell itself and it will take you to a detailed view of the book, and it will give you the book title, the author, the price, the average rating, a link to where you can buy it, a description, and the picture of the cover of the book. this is my MVC diagram. So just to go through it, the model is where all the core data, or the core data for storage for books, all the books that you'll add, provides data persistency, it provides file storage and data manipulations, provides picture storage for the book covers, and it interacts with the controller through the objects obtained through API calls. The controller handles the creation of the list, handles the creation of all the books that you add to the core data, and it calls out to Google, or the Google's API for books, and it also searches the map. When you're in the map view, it retrieves your current location. It handles getting directions to the store. It handles user interactions, and it handles saving data and retrieving data. Now the view does everything with the user, so it reacts to user taps and interactions. It displays the map of the local bookstores. It displays the list of added books and the list of searched books. It displays information about the books in the detailed view. It displays a picture of the cover of the book, map of the local area, directions to the local stores. It displays collection views, picker views, displays the application logo, and it displays the table views. Now here are some of the capabilities of the app I created. Well, first and foremost, it allows you to add books to a book list based off of a search, which makes an API call out to Google Books and brings back all this information that Google has on these books. As you can see, the book list on the top most left, and then the search list in the middle top, and the detailed book view on the right top, which shows you all of the information that you need to know about the book. And then down below, the other capability that this app does is that it gives you a map view of nearby stores, and it allows you to get directions once you click on tap on a store, and it will show you those directions, or it will hide the directions for you while you travel to the destination. Or, as you can see in the top corner there, it can also search the map for specific things. So, limitations. Limitations I had are things that I really didn't think about until after the app had been created and had turned in, but I had thought about how great it would have been for if the user wanted to use Apple Maps instead of the in-map view to guide them to the bookstore. It doesn't have that functionality, unfortunately. And then also that the data is only saved on the device, so it is lost if the book list and all the information is lost if the information, or if the phone is lost, or if the app gets deleted, which, I know a lot of people I've accidentally deleted apps before, and all that information will be gone, and that really should persist throughout. But and then also the book data actually, as much as I didn't really think about this at the time, but the price of the books are not updated automatically. The user would have to delete the book and then re-add the book to get the newest information about anything in particular, including price or rating. So, lessons learned. I learned that a lot of problems occur when within the last year the language that you're using has been refactored. The switch from when Swift came out, or Swift 4 came out last year, a lot of the information that I was looking at online, or resources that I was using to help me build this app were actually for Swift 3, and there's a lot of refactoring that has been done. And that was the same thing for Xcode 9 to Xcode 10. Furthermore, images are really tricky, especially when you're getting an image from a website. So the way that Google API, this was definitely the hardest thing that I've had to do, had to do for this project. When Google API gives you a URL that you can use to display the cover of these books, but it was very tricky to actually get the app to render that image in the correct view. Speaking of views, dealing with multiple views on a given page, like when I'm using an image view or a table view with multiple view cells, there's a lot of different components flying around to do exactly what I wanted, and it became very complicated very quickly. Luckily, I was able to sort most of it out, so it is working fine. But that was definitely a learning curve. Also, using the MVC architecture in a practical application, I learned a lot about how important separating those things out actually is, because it makes everything much easier and more organized. And also learning about making multiple and single API calls from a single app or a single page can get a little messy or take up a lot of the user's time if you're not doing it asynchronously. So that was another lesson that I learned. So suggestions for improvement. I would have loved to have learned more or spent more time with API calls, especially calling multiple times. And what I mean by that is I ran into a lot of issues trying to call the same API from different views because I didn't realize how to spin up multiple URL sessions or do it within the same one. But I worked through that and I was able to get through it, but I would love to have learned a better way to do that. Also, I think it would have been helpful if we had been shown some of the better places to find really good and maintained APIs. It was good that I found Google's, because Google will maintain their APIs, but I found some very interesting sources for book APIs that were not as reliable or maintained. And also, I would have loved to have learned a little bit more about how to set up the proper credentials for different APIs, like maybe an actual walkthrough, because as I state on the slide there, that the Google API was very easy to set up and get credentials for, and most of the time they are, but Amazon API, which was originally what I was going to use, actually it was kind of complicated, and I ended up turning away from it because there are so many steps involved. And lastly, the only other suggestion that I had was to learn more about styling our app. I love what we've learned so far, and I feel really accomplished that I can handle a lot of the logic behind the code, but I don't ever really want to show anybody what I've built because it doesn't look very good. I would love to make it look professional and good enough that I can post or publish to the App Store. All right, thank you very much for listening to my presentation.